Welcome to episode 693 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games. Good to be back, Josh. We're trying to keep a schedule here. I'm glad about that.
Which I guess is like a bi-weekly schedule now. I don't know.
It's more frequent than monthly, right? That's good.
That's true.
This is progress.
You know what else is progress? That we got some listener feedback this week. So these both came to us via email. Entertainment20 at thedigitalmediazone.com is the email address. All the rest of our contact information will be at the end of the show, or just head on over to the show notes at thedigitalmediazone.com. And first up, a message from David from Delaware. He says, and by the way, this is a little bit of a spoiler for what we're going to talk about later in the show. He says, hello and good day. I don't understand the current Xbox strategy. David, neither does Microsoft. He says, on the one hand, you have Halo coming to PlayStation 5, further obliterating exclusives, which is a positive development. On the other hand, you have a very ambitious Xbox device on the horizon that Microsoft is allocating time and resources to. I personally don't get this. I would think Microsoft would want to get out of the money-losing hardware business and focus on bolstering the Xbox in the cloud. As this improves and becomes ubiquitous on televisions, etc., you don't even need the dedicated hardware. This service, and especially GeForce Now, are paving the way to gaming in the future. Thanks for reading this. What do you think, Richard? Just kidding. I know you don't even know most of the details here. I
have thoughts, but you should go first.
Well, the only part that I'm going to address now is the very end of this. So David brings up, like, why keep making consoles when this, Xbox cloud gaming is good and appears to be the future? One, I don't know that it is necessarily the future. I don't think gaming hardware is going anywhere anytime soon. And like the cloud gaming stuff just really doesn't seem to be taking off all that well yet. I think that's one of the reasons why Microsoft decided to throw cloud streaming into every tier of Game Pass, just to get more people using the friggin' service. And so I think it does still make sense for them to continue to make hardware if they're going to have hardware at all, which, they are. They've said there will be a next generation of Xbox hardware. So that's the only part that I really wanted to touch on, because everything else we're going to touch on in the gaming segment.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't think that hardware is going away. I also think that the continued interest in mobile hardware devices in particular is interesting and will probably continue to grow. But keep in mind, we all have a fair amount of privilege to live in homes where we get more or less ubiquitous coverage that's good enough to support game streaming. And connectivity ain't everywhere yet.
No.
So I still think that hardware serves a purpose the same way that I feel like physical media still serves a purpose, less so. But, you have your game device, you have your games loaded on it, you take it with you, and you don't have to worry about what is your connection going to be like to be able to play your game.
Right. Especially for fast-paced games like playing Call of Duty and stuff like that. Can you play Call of Duty on a streaming service? Yes, you can. Is it going to be an experience that's going to see you at the top of the leaderboard? Probably not. But there's plenty of games that would work totally fine in a cloud streaming environment. But I just don't think we're there yet. I love it. I love having that capability, but it's still not a capability I use all that often. Even when I'm away from home, I don't use it that often because can't use it on an airplane, at least, right? Like, I mean, I was traveling last week and, well, Wi-Fi for me on Delta flights has never been great. I couldn't get it to work. So I was going to try just to see, like, could I connect to my home Xbox from a plane flying 600 miles an hour at 35,000 feet above the earth? Well, I couldn't even get on Wi-Fi, so I couldn't really test that, which kind of proves the point.
Shocker, right? Yeah. All right. Well, our next message is from longtime listener Paul, and he has a couple things he's commenting on from past episodes. He says, first of all, have either of you tried out Abbott Elementary? It gives me the same vibes as The Office and Superstore. I started last week and I'm hooked. And it follows the 20 plus episodes per season model, which you don't see a lot of nowadays. Yes, I love this show. And in fact, I'm going to talk about it because I started season 5. We'll revisit that in our entertainment centers later. I talked about watching a Nate Bargatze. I really don't know how to pronounce his name. I hope that's right. Special on Netflix, and Paul agrees. He says, I love this guy. I've been to 2 of his shows. He would be fun to see in person. He is a very funny guy. Paul also had some thoughts on the Pixel Buds Pro. He said he loves his, but he's constantly being told that he has terrible microphone quality, like since he's ever had them. And he's had the same experience with the Pixel Buds. Sounds like he's far away or he set his phone down, even though they're right in his ear. Now, you haven't had that experience, have you, Josh?
No, that is the experience that I'm getting with the right one, the one that I've been having problems with. He's describing exactly the situation that I'm having. But that's a new development. That is not how they've always been. I also have a coworker who has the first generation Pixel Buds Pro, and those also sound fantastic. So I don't know, maybe he got bad ones, but he's saying this happened on the regular Pixel Buds too. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now, Paul thinks I should spend some of my available Audible credits on a book recommendation he made called Dungeon Crawler Carl. I looked it up. It's not my genre. Definitely not my genre. I appreciate the recommendation, but I'm going to pass on that one. He also asked if we'd seen the trailer for the new Predator Badlands movie. And yes, I have. And it looks pretty cool. He says it looks like a continuation of the Alien series that we talked about a little bit while ago. He says it's in the same universe and it has the same synths in it. So kind of interesting. I will probably watch this, but I couldn't get my partner to watch the last Predator movie, which was animated. He was not really into it. And so I don't know if I lost my Predator points now. I'm not going to be able to get him back into this, but I'll try. We'll see. If not, I want to watch it because it looks cool.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, well, I was going to say it would be so much more beneficial if you and I lived close to each other, because then we could go see movies like this together.
Yeah.
But you don't go to the movie theaters either. So I guess that wouldn't really be helpful.
Well, part of that is because I don't really know that many people that want to go to movie theaters. And I mean, there've been a bunch of things that I've wanted to see in a theater, and I don't know. I enough to just like go on my own sometime. I don't know.
I've considered it a couple of times.
I don't mind doing that when I travel, but when I'm home, going into a theater alone, I don't know, feels kind of lonely.
I mean, you're ignoring the person sitting next to you for the next 2.5 hours anyway.
Totally. And that's my justification when I'm traveling. I'm like, well, I mean, I wouldn't be talking with anyone anyway, so, or at least I shouldn't be.
Right.
Everyone else.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for the suggestions. All good. Appreciate it, Paul. And David, thanks for writing into us. And I think you mentioned where people could do that, but you can do that by sending messages to entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com.
Indeed. So let's jump into the news. Stop me if you've heard this one before. CNN is launching a new standalone streaming service. How many times is this now? Is this at least the third one?
I don't know.
I've lost track.
I don't know.
This time they've got it solved, I think. They at least have come up with a new name. It's called CNN All Access, and it does sound like it indeed gets you all access to all of their stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing, of course, is can you stream CNN? They do give you something called CNN Stream as part of CNN All Access, and that is a live linear CNN stream. Is it identical to what's on your cable feed right now? I'm not positive. I saw conflicting information about this.
Yeah.
But it does look like it has all of the shows that you would normally be watching on CNN at roughly the same times. So it's got to be pretty close.
And the thing that makes me think that it likely is this next point, which is that cable customers that get CNN get free access to it.
Right. And specifically get access to CNN Stream. But some of these other things, they don't actually get access to. So it does seem like if it's not exactly one-to-one with what's on live TV right now, it's probably close enough. So that's the main thing. But there are a couple of other things that are coming along for the ride with CNN All Access. The other main thing that's part of the paid part of this is CNN International. That is also a live feed, but it's only a live feed from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays, which is a little bit weird, but...
That is probably a licensing thing. If I remember correctly, I think the international feed comes from different places at different times of the day. So it may be that this is where it's coming from Atlanta. So that's how they can do this licensing wise.
Yeah, that would make sense. There are also two FAST services, FAST standing for Free Ad-Supported Television. One is a service called CNN Headlines, which is really just a curated news feed that will always be available. There will, of course, be ads during all of that.
Not to be confused with CNN Headline News, rest in peace.
Correct. It's definitely not that. This reminds me more of like what CBS News offers, ABC News offers through their free streaming apps, where you're seeing stuff that's relatively recent, but it's not actually live typically and stuff like that. And then there's also a free ad-supported channel, you might call it that is called CNN Originals, and this is for their long-form shows, so things that are branded under CNN Originals and CNN Films will show up on that service, and again, that is ad-supported. So, if you want CNN All Access, the price, I think this is a pretty decent price. I think $7 a month or $70 a year. Do you think that's a fair price?
I mean, I'm not paying it. So I think we've missed a big piece of this, and maybe it's assumed, but this is also providing direct access to content on demand. So it's not just all linear content, right? It's their library of content on demand. That's really what you're getting when you pay into this, as well as these linear streams or fast channels.
Right. Yeah. I guess I left that part out.
And that's where the value is, right? I want to go watch this series, or I want to go watch this specific movie on demand. That is what people might be willing to pay around $7 a month for. Not me. I mean, I think $7 a month for a news channel with some other ad-supported stuff, not exciting. Whether it's the news channel I want to listen to or not, it's just, I don't see that much value out of it, but that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, clearly there are plenty of people out there who want access to 24/7 cable news sort of stream, and this gets that for you. Like, if that's really the only reason you've got cable TV, then this is going to save you a boatload of money.
Yeah.
I was going to kind of compare this to the Fox offering. You know, Fox One gives you access to live streaming of Fox News, but I also think that there's very few people who are cross-shopping those two. Like, most people have probably made up their mind whether they want Fox News or CNN. And so if you want Fox News, you probably don't care that Fox One is $20 a month and CNN is $7 a month.
Well, although I always thought that price was ridiculous. I mean,
right.
We talked about that when that was announced. That just never made sense to me. And I'd be really curious to find out how that's doing.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. So there you go. CNN available now for $7 a month or $70 a year if you want it. So let's talk about a bundle. The bundles of streaming services are really starting to get interesting, and I think this is a particular interesting one, assuming you're at all interested in both of these two services. So you can now get a bundle that includes Apple TV and Peacock. And there's two versions of this because there are two versions of Peacock. There's Peacock Premium, which is the one with ads, and there's Peacock Premium Plus, which has almost no ads. If you want the one with ads, it's $15 a month. If you want the one with Premium Plus and, almost no ads, it's $20 a month. Which both of those sound pretty good, don't they? And so let's do the math and look. Okay, so how much is Apple TV regularly? $13 a month. Wow, that sounds pretty good. Let's remind people how much Peacock cost. Regular Peacock Premium, $15 a month. Premium Plus, $20 a month. If you do the math there, and I'm not a math whiz, but that sounds like you're basically getting Apple TV for free.
For free!
Right?
That's what it looks like to me.
That seems pretty good. That seems better than any of the other bundles that we've really talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of amazing. And I'm really surprised by this because Apple has raised their price pretty significantly since it first came out. If you remember, it came out, I think, at about $5 a month initially, or
right.
$6, something really inexpensive. And so they've more than doubled their price from when they launched. And I know a lot of people have had a hard time stomaching that. I'm not saying this is an admission that might have been the wrong approach, but I do think it's interesting that they're kind of playing in this race. It's not a race to the bottom, but playing in this bundling game to make their service a little bit more attractive.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm slightly distracted because this almost seems like too good. I'm double checking myself because I'm wondering if I even have this correct. Is it possible that we're linking to The Verge, that maybe they got it wrong? So I'm double checking what does Peacock actually is this right? It gets confusing because of the monthlies. Okay, it's not exactly right, but The Verge got this a little bit wrong. It's still a really good bundle, although I do wonder if maybe these are intro offers because on the Peacock website, it has Peacock Premium at $11 a month and Premium Plus at $17 a month. Now, that's still a really friggin' good deal. So, I mean, I would still be good with that.
Yeah, so you're paying $2 or $3. I mean,
right.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's still less than what Apple TV cost when it launched.
Yeah. And, you and I have talked about all the cool stuff that we've watched on Apple TV over the years. I think we've talked about the Formula One deal that they've been. Did we talk about the Formula One deal?
I don't think we did. So Apple TV got access to Formula One for the next 5 years, starting next year. Apple TV will be the place to watch Formula One in the United States, winning that deal over from ESPN.
Coincidence?
Well, that felt like the reason why Apple TV cost more.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case, you're getting a deal on things, so that seems a little bit weird. But yeah, there's tons of great shows on Apple TV that we're always talking about. Silo, Ted Lasso, Slow Horses, like Foundation. There's so many good shows on Apple TV. And I think a lot of people rightly are like, right, but what's Peacock got? Why do I want to subscribe to Peacock again, guys? There are some shows, like there are a lot of reality shows. Again, Peacock is the NBC Universal streaming service. So you've got reality shows, you've got sitcoms that are showing up on NBC. They've also got some pretty good sports offerings. They've got racing, they've got soccer. There's a lot of good sports content on Peacock also. And if you're a soccer fan, this might be a particular interesting bundle for you because Apple TV has already had the MLS subscription and Peacock has English Premier League. So is that every single one of the major soccer leagues? No, but it's two of the biggest ones that Americans are probably the most interested in. So this just looks like a sweet deal and maybe the best streaming bundle we've seen yet.
And the other thing to remember about Peacock is that's where you can get amazing coverage of the Olympics. They did such a good job with the last Olympics, and we are just 3.5 months away from the Winter Olympics.
Right, the better ones.
Are my favorite.
Yes, correct. The Winter Olympics are superior.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, so there you go. Sign up for an Apple TV and Peacock subscription. Now, you might be wondering, but what if I have Apple TV through, is it called Apple One? The Apple One subscription?
Yeah.
If you have Apple TV through that, you can't exactly do this bundle because you're already in a bundle, and bundles within bundles gets a little bit too confusing for most people. So instead, if you've already got the Apple One bundle and you want Peacock, they will give you a 35% discount on Peacock. Not nearly as good as this, but still better than nothing, especially with the Olympics coming up.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so that's great news in the streaming space. The bad news in the streaming space is yet another price increase. And this time it's from Richard's favoritely named streaming service, HBO Max.
Newly renamed again.
Yes.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, the language in the email message had the words effective immediately.
Sure did. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a huge increase, relatively speaking, but it is yet another increase. So the ad-supported tier goes from $10 to $11 a month. The HBO Max standard tier goes from $17 to $18.49 a month. And then the premium tier, that's the one that gets you 4K and all of the goodies, goes from $21 to $23 per month, which makes it $3 more expensive than the Apple TV and Peacock bundle. Just to loop that back to the previous story for one service.
It's roughly a 10% increase on each of these. I mean, a little bit more than that, but I don't know. Service is going to increase prices. It's continuing to happen. I will talk about this a little bit in my entertainment center stuff, but I remember when we used to play the game, what would you pay for HBO as a streaming service?
Yeah.
And I think at the time it was $15. I think that's what I was willing to pay. and now to do it without ads, they would want 23. Well, I should say 1850, and then to do it in high resolution and multiple streams and Dolby Atmos, $23 a month. Oof.
Yeah. Oof. It's getting up there. The big boys charging a lot. Netflix, HBO, they're all getting pricey. Disney, yeah, they are all getting pricey for sure.
So, more reason to continue to look for the bundles.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And to not have all of them at once, because you're probably not actually watching all of them at once. Pick a couple and then cancel them and switch.
We're both going to continue to say this, and we're both going to probably not be the best examples of actually doing this. I mean,
I do need to let that Paramount Plus subscription. I need to cancel that.
You're better at it than me, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some audio news very quick. It's a simple one. Spotify has added a new feature that I think is great. And this is something that I could have used back in the days when I dropped Spotify. Anyone remember why I dropped Spotify? I dropped Spotify because of a couple of songs that I listened to that managed to make Spotify believe that I wanted to open up this whole genre of music and have it as a part of my taste profile. And I didn't. And the only way to circumvent that was to basically start over. So instead of starting over, I quit and I moved to a different service. Well, a while ago, they introduced the ability to exclude certain artists from your profile. So I don't want to hear stuff from whatever artist whose music you don't like or maybe has offended you for whatever reasons and you're boycotting or something. Who knows? And that was a nice feature. That might have helped me, but that's pretty broad. That means that anything that this artist does, you don't want to hear. Well, maybe it's not that general. So they've added the new granular feature to let you exclude specific tracks from your taste profile. And what that is supposed to do is ensure that you hear that song or those songs that you have excluded far, far less if they appear in any playlists or any recommended music or anything like that. Now, it may come up randomly, but it won't be included in something because it's a curated playlist for you based on your tastes. And that's, I think, a really smart thing. This one feature, if they had this 6 or 7 years ago, would have kept me from switching services away from Spotify.
So are you thinking of coming back now?
No, I am so entrenched in Apple Music. No.
It's almost Spotify Wrapped season.
Yeah, well, all the services have something like that now.
That's true.
We'll see how early in the season. It's just like when Christmas decorations go up in stores. How early in the season does each service have their end of year wrap up sent out? Last year there were some that were coming out in November. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think Spotify Wrapped is in November.
Yeah.
I think.
That's not my year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as it's always in November, then it's always a year worth of listening.
It's like a fiscal year. It's just shifted a little bit.
Right.
It's my music year.
I wonder if it's in November so that they maybe just don't include December so that it doesn't include all of the Christmas music for people.
Oh, well, that's actually probably the only smart digital accounting or accounting of digital Christmas music that any of their services has done, because I still get Christmas music showing up in my normal recommended music on my services, which is just nuts.
Right.
There's absolutely no good reason for that.
You might be celebrating Christmas in July, Richard, and they're just trying to help out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not. Okay. Let's move on to the gaming segment that we had teased a little bit earlier with the message from David. So we've, to bring you up to speed, we've had the launch of the Asus ROG Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. I think I have all of those names correct, which is amazing if I actually got all of those words in the right order. That thing's pretty cool, but it's expensive, especially if you want the nice one. It's $1,000. But it introduced a new gaming experience on the handheld where it boots, like it is still a Windows PC, but it boots straight into an Xbox optimized experience. Is it perfect? No. But is it super flexible? Absolutely, because it gives you access to your Xbox games and Steam and Epic and whatever other library you want to install on your Windows PC. I'm looking forward to getting that on my Legion Go at some point over the next few months because I think it's really cool. Some of the other news that's come out recently, just this week, and David alluded to this, Xbox announced they're remaking, for at least the second time, I think the second time, the original Halo game, They're calling this one Halo Campaign Evolved because it's only the campaign. They're not including multiplayer. Completely remade in Unreal Engine 5. It's coming next year. And the news that surprised people who I think weren't paying attention, it's going to launch on PlayStation. And maybe the slightly surprising part is it will launch on PlayStation 5 the same day that it launches on Xbox. So it's not even like a timed exclusive for Xbox. And when they announced this, they also said, oh yeah, and all future Halo games, we're going to launch those on PlayStation also. So that leads us to this place where everybody starts freaking out. What's even the point of Xbox anymore? Are they going to make consoles anymore? And so that leads the bigwigs over at Microsoft and Xbox to go on tour, start giving more interviews about all of this. Sarah Bond shows up on an interview and says, essentially, listen, dum-dums, I've been saying for over a year that there is more Xbox hardware coming. She reiterated there is more Xbox hardware coming. She said some things that made people a little bit nervous about how much it's going to cost when she said that the next console would be very premium. Very premium sounds very expensive to me. Yikes. And then Phil Spencer, he also gave an interview. And in that, he said, when asked about the future of Xbox hardware, he said, with the ROG Xbox Ally series launching as a handheld device, and as we see continued evolution in experiences through the cloud and PC, what I'd really like people to pay attention to is this. This product hints at how the Xbox software platform will evolve going forward and how it will connect all kinds of devices together at a single point. Now, the optimist out there, and I'm one of them, read that and go, oh, they're finally going to do it. The next Xbox console hardware will actually just be a PC with an Xbox curated experience on top of it, similar to what we got on this ROG Xbox Ally device. And so you'll still get the awesome Xbox experience. If you're just looking for an Xbox experience, cool, but you would have the flexibility to also install PC games. If I can do that with my next console, I'm buying it for sure. That sounds amazing. That's what I've wanted for years. They're going to need to do a lot of work to make that experience good for people because from all of the reviews that I've read and watched since the ROG Xbox Ally launched a couple of weeks ago, most of the reviews say, yes, this new experience is good. If you just want to play games, like it works pretty well. But if you do need to get into Windows and stuff, this is not the sort of experience that you're like, if you're just a hardcore like console gamer, that you're necessarily going to be super comfortable with because it's still a PC. There's still drivers. There's still all of that stuff. There's still tweaking gaming settings if you want to run it at different resolutions and graphics quality. Like it's just a more complicated, complex, but customizable experience that we've always gotten from Windows gaming PCs. So I don't know what they're going to do to continue to make that experience more simplified, but I love the idea that this might be where they're going. But let's take one big giant step back. I can very easily read what Phil Spencer said and interpret it very differently. Like these words are very carefully planned. These guys don't just go out on these interviews and just shoot from the hip on what they're saying. And you can certainly interpret this a couple of different ways. You could say, yeah, he's talking about other, maybe he's talking about an Xbox branded mobile device that is purely from Xbox. That could be it. Maybe he's talking about this. Maybe he's still talking about separate devices, a regular gaming console, a mobile device, and the cloud experience that's everywhere. You can interpret this however you want, and I don't think we're going to know how to actually interpret it, what Xbox actually means by all of this. My guess is for at least another year, because I think this stuff is still a couple years out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So exciting stuff. I think I'm not someone who's necessarily like super upset that more and more exclusives like Halo and stuff are going to other platforms. But I will say, if that next generation of Xbox doesn't live up to some of these hopes, I'm certainly going to have to think long and hard about whether I buy an Xbox, because if all of the games are on PlayStation, is there much of a reason to buy an Xbox at that point? Maybe not. So
that's why the hardware has to be really, really cool.
Right. But they've not been, and like, I was going to say they haven't been doing a great job of that, but that's not entirely true. Like the Xbox Series X is a objectively more powerful device than the PlayStation 5. It still didn't outsell the PlayStation. The PlayStation eats its lunch in terms of console sales. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like, I really don't think we're going to hear any announcements until at the very earliest next summer, but I think it's probably even further out than that. All right. That's it for our gaming news, all of our news this week. So, Richard, what has been going on in your entertainment center?
Let's go back to HBO Max, should we?
Absolutely.
So, we were talking about the price hike, and you may remember me mentioning that when I went to T-Mobile, that I lost my free access from AT&T to HBO Max. Well, turns out I was not getting the premium version. I was getting a lower version for the last year or so. But I want the premium version because now I have a big, huge TV in the rec room, and I want that 4K experience, and I want the Dolby Atmos. More on that in a second. And I'm going to have to pay for that. And that was going to cost me $21 a month because I made this decision a couple weeks ago. And then I found out that the Amex card I have has a $25 rebate on an annual rate. And that would take the monthly price down to $16 a month. Remember when we talked about $15 a month being kind of like the sweet spot for HBO? Well, $16 a month, just a little bit more than $16 a month is kind of easy to swallow. I can handle that. Actually, I think it was a little bit less than $16 a month. So I bid on that and I purchased an annual subscription, and I'm really glad I did because not 2 weeks later, they raised the price. And had I gone with a monthly rate, I'd be dealing with the higher price. So I locked in a lower rate unbeknownst to me, and I got just a good discount on the overall price. I think it ended up being $185 because I think it's about $110 for a year, or it was $110 for a year, and now $210. Phew, sorry about that. And so it ended up being $185 for the year. Now, I made one fatal mistake here, and that's that I upgraded an old account. It's not the account that I log into through AT&T.
Oh, no.
Because I had an HBO account before I had my free AT&T service that gave me the HBO access.
Yeah, from like the first time it was called HBO Max.
Right. Well,
and before that, actually, right? Like when it was HBO Go.
You're going to love this. So I use email addresses that are the name of the company on my domain so that I can track, has my email address been shared or stolen or whatever. And that way I can also easily just turn off all mail coming from that at some point if I ever needed to. Well, my email address was hbonow@richardgunther.com. So that's how long ago it was. It was when it was called HBO Now. And I don't even remember how many generations ago that was. But that's the one that I renewed. Not the one I've been watching with all my history and the different profiles for Edward and for me. And so I called and said, hey, can you help me? Can you help someone out here? And they said no. They tried for hours. They tried. But ultimately, after multiple calls on hold with multiple people, the bottom line was, nope, can't do it. sorry. They could not merge my accounts or transfer the subscription that I had done or any of that stuff. They couldn't make it happen.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a brand new, spanking clean, no history HBO Max account that I have to re-log into on every device, which I'm really excited about. But hey, I have HBO Max. Now, I mentioned Atmos. Why did I mention Atmos? And why did I say I'd get back to that? Because I was watching a movie downstairs in the rec room, and it was a big movie. It was Superman. That's a big movie. It has a lot going on. There's stuff all over the place, and I'm listening to it from my TV speakers. And yeah, they're branded as Bang & Olufsen speakers on the TV, but they are TV speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to the conclusion that I can't tolerate this anymore. I need surround sound. I need real surround sound. So I ordered myself an ARC, 2 Era 300s, and a subwoofer from Sonos using the last of my 30% upgrade discounts that I had available. And they should be arriving. Well, they were supposed to be here today, but they're not. So I guess tomorrow?
Nice. Very nice.
Then I should have a form of Atmos down in the rec room, which I'm very excited about.
You're going to have to do the subwoofer crawl.
I've never done that before.
Really? Yeah. So we should explain this to people. So especially if you only have one subwoofer, like the sound from subwoofers, it is a very low frequency, which means it is very wide sound frequency bands. And it will sound very different in very different parts of the room. And so the easiest way to find where should you put your subwoofer, especially if you're in a weirdly shaped room or something like that. And the room you're putting this in is weird and huge. So you take the subwoofer, and do you carry it all over your room? No, that would be insane. Instead, you put the subwoofer right on the seat where you're going to be sitting. And then you move yourself around the room on the floor, wherever you're likely to put the subwoofer, and listen to see how the subwoofer sounds there. Because if it sounds good when you're sitting there on the floor in that location and you swap yourself for the subwoofer, now it's going to sound good in the seat where you plan to sit.
Yeah, I still don't understand the physics of that, but supposedly it works.
I've done it myself. It does work.
Crazy. All right. So what have I been watching? I mentioned that the new season of The Amazing Race is on. I've been watching that, and it's been good. I've been enjoying it. The morning show started back up, and I had lost touch with that, so I'm back on track, and I'm caught up on season 4 of The Morning Show. We finished the show The Last Right. That is the story of a mother and daughter who bought a Frank Lloyd Wright built home that came with the last plans that he ever created for a home that he never built, and they built it. And the last episode, shocker, is it's done, and it is really, really, really cool. If you're a Frank Lloyd Wright fan, you gotta check this out. It's on HBO Max. So look that up. I highly recommend it. We started a series on Stars called Mary and George. And y'all may be thinking, Stars? I don't think you've ever mentioned having Stars before. You're right. I don't. But one of the things with Apple TV and some of these other curated environments is it recommends stuff that it thinks you might like, whether you have the service or not. And you know what? Sometimes those promotions work. And this one did, in fact. So I went searching for the best and cheapest way to get Stars for a short period of time so that I could watch the rest of the show. And the show is called Mary and George. It is on Stars, and it is now available to me for $4 a month as a limited introductory pricing add-on to Prime Video. So that'll give me other stuff that's on Stars.
Have you already canceled it?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't know that I'm going to be able to watch it all in a month. So it's good for 3 or 4 months. I think it's 3 months. I did set a calendar reminder.
Okay. So that's the second best option.
Yeah. That's what I do. I set the reminder that, okay, cancel by this date, so I don't end up keeping this add-on on. Hey, if there's anything else good on Stars, let me know, because I have no idea.
Seems unlikely, but maybe our guest will.
I don't know.
Our listeners will know.
Right. So I also started watching the new season of The Voice. We both did, meaning Edward and I both did, and I always enjoy that show. I say always because I watched the last season for the first time. We liked it. We'll probably keep watching it. I also started a series that is on YouTube that one of you in the audience recommended a while ago. And I looked into it and never followed through, called H+. I would call this something like a webisode series where each episode is approximately 5 or 6 minutes long. And there are 60 some of them. And it tells a story of a altered human reality through technology. And it's kind of interesting. This series is 13 years old.
Whoa.
And it looks like it could have come out now. It's really well done, highly professional. I am about 15 episodes into it and enjoying it. So might be something to look into if that sounds intriguing to you. I also started season 5 of Abbott Elementary because it is back and I love that show. And for me, it's even more special because it's constantly making references to the Philadelphia area. And I grew up outside of Philadelphia and know a lot of the landmarks and the museums and places like that they occasionally reference or go to on location there. So I thoroughly enjoy the show. Watched a few more episodes of Beach Cottage Chronicles. That's one of those short episode things where there's like 8 or 10 minute long episodes talking about a different property in a certain genre. This one, beach cottages. They have one for cabins. They have one for little inns. Another series from HBO Max. Got back to Severance. I had lost track of Severance completely. So now I'm back continuing to watch new episodes. Watch the episodes that are still new to me of season 2 of Severance. Got back to watching Bob Newhart. I mentioned that last time, up to season 4. And I mentioned that I watched Superman already. I also watched a new-ish episode that HBO came out with of a series that they did a couple years ago called The Case Against Hanan Syed. And I don't know if everybody's familiar with this, but this is a kid in Baltimore, fairly close to here, that was, he was accused of murdering a classmate and spent 23 years in jail for it. And he was exonerated because they didn't have a good enough case or any actual, like, real evidence. Like the number of mistakes that were made in this case were just absolutely amazing. So they did a follow-up on this, calling it episode 5. And it just kind of introduced you to how he ended up getting out, how things are going now, what's going on with his family, and all of those who helped him get past this, the time that he had to put in for this. So that's very interesting to me. You may remember this case because it was the subject of the podcast Serial. Speaking of podcasts, I am still weeks behind on podcasts. I have so many podcasts. I think there's over 100 episodes in my podcast queue. I don't know how I'm going to catch up.
Oh, Richard.
I know. Crazy. Anyway, okay, that was a lot. That was me. Josh, what's going on in your entertainment center?
So I actually have games and movies and TV and a book. Like I don't always hit every category. This time I did. I'm going to start with games. Still working my way through Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. I think I'm through chapter 6 of 10, and a bunch of the side quests, still enjoying that. It's weird, but it's good. Also, there's a new game that is making a pretty big splash in the gaming community. I haven't heard anyone actually say how you're supposed to pronounce this. I'm just calling it Ball Pit, but it is spelled Ball X Pit. It could be Ball Cross Pit. It could be Ball X Pit. It could be Ball multiplied times Pit. Like none of these. I doubt it's any of those.
Ball by Pit?
The ball
that doesn't
by Pit?
make sense.
Right.
That doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. This is okay. None of this will make any sense to you, Richard, but for the gamers out there, if you know about Vampire Survivors, it's kind of like Vampire Survivors in that, it's got a lot of auto shooting going on, but it's in a vertical oriented space. There are people who are comparing this to Blackout. It is not like Blackout. They're wrong. If you don't like those sorts of games,
they're wrong.
Don't listen to the people who are saying that, because you have far more control over where the balls go in this game. It's one of these very addictive vampire shooters, Vampire Slayers. Wow, now I've completely forgotten the name of that vampire game. It's very much like that, and it's very addictive. It's also on Game Pass, which is why I've checked it out. It's also Xbox Play Anywhere, which I love, which means I can play it on my Xbox and on my Legion Go with cross progression, all of that stuff. It's great. Check it out. Even if you don't have Game Pass, it's only $15. So Vampire Survivors. If you liked Vampire Survivors, maybe take a look at Ball X Pit. That if you're going to Google it, that's what you should Google. On movies, I have a really good friend that I podcast with who has a Plex server, and I attempted to watch a movie called Now You See Me on his Plex server, but his Plex server just doesn't work. So I'm assuming you're talking about me. That sounds a whole lot like my Plex server. It does sound a lot like your Plex server, doesn't it? And do you happen to have this movie? It's called Now You See Me.
I do.
Yeah. Your Plex server didn't work, so I paid to rent this movie instead. And Jen had seen something, because there's a sequel, I think maybe just came out or is about to come out.
In 2 weeks.
Okay. You really know. And so we watched the original one. This movie came out in 2013. This is not new.
Nope.
Starring Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo, Woody Harrelson, Common, Morgan Freeman. It's got a pretty good cast. And it's about these magicians who sort of rob a bank. So it's like Ocean's 11 meets Magicians, and it was a really fun movie. We really liked it.
Yeah, these movies are so much fun. So there's a second one.
Yes.
And I highly recommend you look for that too. Hopefully you won't have to rent that as well. But yeah, I loved these films. I can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah. And so you said it comes out in 2 weeks. Does that mean it comes to theaters in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Okay, then we might just go see it in theaters, because that was a really fun movie. Yeah. Yes, and I think the sequel is called Now You Don't. Is that right?
Yes. Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Okay, cool. TV, obviously watching some football. Also watching a little bit of the World Series. I'm not a baseball guy, but I can turn on the World Series, especially when you've got some amazingly freakishly talented athletes playing. I don't know baseball super well, but I was watching the World Series last night, and I'm kind of rooting for the Blue Jays, because why not? I'll root for the underdog. And Ohtani gets up to bat. The Padres are down by 1, and they show a stat, and it says Ohtani, who might be the greatest baseball player of all time, by the way, in his last 6 at-bats, he is 6 for 6 with 4 home runs. And I'm like, I don't know baseball, but I know that those stats mean you should intentionally walk this guy. They do not intentionally walk this guy. And on the very first pitch, he hits a home run to tie the game. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then it led to one of the longest World Series games in history. That game took 18 innings and 6 hours to decide.
Oh.
And the Padres won. Oof. Just don't pitch. to the super amazing guy. Like, this isn't hard. I'm a hockey guy and I know this. Oh,
wow. That, first of all, that it's the World Series now was so off my radar. And then to hear that one of the reasons I dislike baseball is like it was the worst it's ever been, which is the length of the game.
They're usually a lot faster. They've done a lot to speed up the game. But if you're going to play 18 innings, like you just played 2 games in one night, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was insane. So, yeah. And then books, I finished Forward the Foundation. I think I actually started Foundation, but I set that aside briefly because my book club is coming up and we are reading iRobot. I was the one who suggested it. Everybody voted for it. Yeah. So I'm rereading iRobot. That book is still like, it blows me away that Isaac Asimov figured this stuff out 70 years ago or something. Like, that book is old, and he was already thinking the things that we should all be thinking about AI right now.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It is so good. And if you think you know the story because you watched the movie, you're wrong. Please, please read the book.
It's completely it's completely different. The book is a collection of short stories, essentially. So, yeah, definitely read it. It's not super long. The super funny thing that I like about it, I'm getting the audiobook from my library, and it is a very old audiobook where it was a CD. And so
wow,
they left the parts in where it says, "This concludes disc 1. Please insert disc 2 or whatever."
That's a riot.
I love it. Takes me back to the good old days. Those weren't good. I didn't like having to swap CDs.
No, not good. No. Remember DVDs that you used to have to flip? That was terrible.
Man. Yeah, full screen on one side, widescreen on the other side for some of them.
There were movies that like ended halfway through on one side, and you had to turn it over to watch the others. Yeah, okay. I know. I had to walk uphill both ways, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And back when it still snowed. Yeah. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's show. If you'd like more details on anything we talked about or all of our contact information, all of it is in our show notes over at www.thedigitalmediazone.com. If you want to find us on social media, I'm still sort of on Twitter. Richard, I don't know if you heard this. The twitter.com as a domain isn't going to be around for that much longer. Maybe
I did hear that.
Maybe then I have to acquiesce and start calling it X, but I still hate that.
So I've made a decision, and that is that I am no longer going to refer to it as Twitter because it is nothing like what Twitter was, in my opinion. This is my perspective on it. So I will embrace calling it X from now on.
Okay. I think that's a good reason. Okay. I'm still on X at Josh Pollard. So is the website at DigiMediaZone. Richard can be found on Mastodon at Richard Gunther and richardgunther.com on Blue Sky. I'm also Josh Pollard on Blue Sky. That's really the place you should be looking for me. I don't really like to be on X. Woof. Really don't like to be on X. So, and then we're trying to do the video thing again. So we've got a bunch of people here in the live chat who have made this show so much more fun. You could be here as well. Normally doing the show around Tuesdays around 8:30
Not
p.m.
normally
Eastern.
at all, but we got it this time.
100%.
Got it this time.
Every single week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays.
Not normal at all.
But that is going to do it for episode 693. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Bye.